Shilpi, truly a pleasure. You go back 2015. We worked together on IIT 2015, Santa Clara Convention Center Bay Area. You were managing the media. I was doing the interviews.
Yes.
And you started your new company. I'm meeting you now after 8 years. You have graduated, grown your company, sold it to a great brand called Yum Brands, and now you're the Chief Strategy Officer for Yum Brands. I'm very pleased, very happy to see you grow and exit. So it's a whole journey, but I want to take bits and pieces until we get there. One is you're from IIT Delhi. So you had the network and you connected with the network in Silicon Valley. First question is on the influence and the network of IIT and your take on what it brings to people like you who are much younger than other people who are running the conference at the time.
Yeah, I would say having a network really helped. So when you're a first-time founder, you actually don't know where to start. So if I go back in 2013 when I was trying to raise the fund and vetting out the ideas, I actually found my mentors from IIT Delhi network itself. And in fact, my first funding, which we did through a strategic investor, came from our IIT Delhi mentor. I went to UC Davis as well. So I actually got to, I'm very blessed that I got to tap into both the networks. And my UC Davis network actually gave me my academic advisor and my business advisor. And IIT Delhi actually gave me the investor. So yes, it was really helpful. So one thing what I really like being in any alumni network is you have to just say that I'm from the school. We went to the same school, can you help me? And I think most of the time people say yes, and they will get on a call, talk to you. So you have to just ask. I think don't hesitate, just ask, and worst case, they're going to say no or not respond. But most of the time, they will say yes.
Another small point I want to bring out is that across the years, especially in Silicon Valley, it's a very open culture. People are willing to help you without expecting anything back. Actually, some people actually take you until you understand and solve your problem, or they connect you to the last dot. And that is, I think, very unique to get.
That is true. And one thing I'll say, I think now when I become a second-time founder, I'll be a bit different. But first-time founder, when somebody tells you, especially in your network, like the VCs from your school or first-time founders, when they tell you that, hey, you're thinking it wrong, you have weird reaction to it. Like you're like, what are you talking about? It's going to take me 18 months to build it. And I still remember my meeting with Nexus Ventures. I was talking to Mateen, pitching my idea, and he said, Shilpi, it's a great plan, but I don't think you can build it in 18 months. It'll take you 5 years. And I'm like, I don't think Mateen gets it. And it actually took me 5 years to build it. The same roadmap, exactly the same. But I think you have to be just open to listen to. And that's what I've learned in my first experience of running this company and building this company, that there's some people you have to really listen to.
No, I completely concur with that. I advise and mentor, lots and lots of entrepreneurs. Every year, probably more than 60 plus entrepreneurs who come to me, and same problems. Now that I've done so many times, I can pretty much smell an entrepreneur from a distance. And the same thing, no matter how many times you tell them that the whole world is wrong, they're the only ones who have the right solution.
But Mateen, I think as a first-time founder, you're so much in love with the idea that you've come up with, and you're like, this is the best thing anybody can do, and I have this idea, right? And I think you realize it later. You kind of graduate, like over a period of time. Once you have talked to more clients, you have delivered, then you realize that actually the first few people you talked to, they were actually right. And you have to tone it down and find the right path.
So let's talk about your company, the original idea, how you got it, and you worked on it, and what were the pivoting moments until you came to a point where you had scale enough to be able to acquire it?
So if we go flashback 2013, like our late 2012, 2013, that's when Harpreet, my husband and my co-founder, we both were thinking of, what to build. One of our UC Davis LM actually was a VP marketing at North Face. And he said, hey, you know what, if you can build something like this in marketing, where you can measure my digital marketing, how it's performing. I don't have any tool. I don't know how much I'm spending. I have no idea how much return it's bringing. So it started from there. So initially we were kind of building a publishing tool, but then we pivoted in 6 months and let's build a hardcore, more statistical approach to the measurement. And then we brought in machine learning in it and then combined econometric and machine learning. Initially we were just focused on maybe we never thought of SaaS. So we were always thinking enterprise software. But the way markets, especially CPG brands and retailers they're not used to looking at all of this as a software, at least in 2013. So we were thinking they will take the software. We were thinking that they will do it multiple times a year, and they want more agile measurement. But the market wasn't ready. So we kind of pivoted in terms of let's build the product, but delivered the services using the product rather than selling the product. And then the frequency came later. Initially, they were just buying once a year kind of a measurement. And then slowly, once the market was a little bit more mature, then they started picking more. And, it's just a realization of it that the market is not ready. And if you keep selling what you have in your mind, then there is no product market fit. So there were some tweaks we had to do in go-to-market strategy. But one thing was very clear, that we always wanted to work with large brands because they have the larger budgets and the larger marketing spend. So that knowing that really helped. And then we were able to scale pretty well from a services point of view.
So here's the question I want to ask. Initially, when you probably bootstrapped and went, so for you, the alumni came in good hands because you got the funding. But most entrepreneurs struggle with the funding unless they have a prototype, they got some initial traction with the customers, etc. And they're always thinking, if I had more money, I could do this better. But money is not the solution for that. So share some of that.
Now, if I have to do it second time, I would first find my customers. I wouldn't even go to investor. Because I think that's one thing I realized after doing my first company, that you don't want to borrow too much money. Because first of all, you have to be very judicial with the money, because this is someone's hard-earned money, right? And you're kind of literally playing with it. So we took investment, but then we organically grew. The only thing I'll say, if you raise too much, you have a pressure to spend it. And then chances are that you're going to spend it at the wrong places. And you might not be making the right choices when it comes to people, compensating them correctly, or building the product which automates, because now you have money and you can just throw people at it, right? While I think it's better to just raise a little and then try to build something which is functional. And then your decision making will be way more robust in longer term, because you're not spending money. So I don't think raising too much money too early on is a good idea. Unless it's something like, I have to spend 95% of my funding on infrastructure. Yeah, that makes sense. But then you can't just sell the product like a hockey stick if it is not ready.
The other pain point is, before you start, obviously, it's good to have the exit in mind, but obviously exit keeps, it's like a goalpost that keeps moving until you're absolutely ready. So they are very eager, or they're too ambitious for exit, and they want to wait for the right moment, the right price, and sometimes you miss that, and then you regret it a lot. So I don't know how to, tell to the younger entrepreneur that, there's a lot more work than what you're thinking. So your exit happened. It's a great company, like I said, but sometimes strategic investments also help you tag along with the bigger companies until they themselves are ready to acquire you. How was that in your case?
So in our case, our client actually approached. So Yum Brands was one of our clients, and we were working with multiple brands in multiple countries. We actually got offer from other clients as well, different point in time, but the culture mattered to us, and the flexibility that was given to us was also phenomenal. So Yum Brands actually said that you can keep all your external clients. You can keep working with them, keep working with us. We would love you guys to bring that external business as well, so that you get to see beyond Yum Brands and you can bring that thought leadership to the product. So that flexibility, and then they just took our team, and then we just grew. In last 2.5 years, we have grown 120%. It was just the alignment of the culture, and also the vision, what Yum Brands wanted to do. So it worked really well for us that way. And going back to the point where you were saying that becoming greedy, right? And I think I still remember the very few conversations we had with our early advisors, and he told me, and he said that, hey, you know what? This is your first company. Do it for fun. Do it for the journey. Don't do it for the end goal. And end goal can be really bad too, and can be really good too, but enjoy the journey you're on, right? And he was like, if you make the money, great. If you don't, that's the baseline. In startups, 96% startups fail in first year, and then in next 3 years, and whatever is remaining, not everybody gets acquired or see an exit. But I think what you will have to see when the exit is, don't maximize for yourself, maximize for all the shareholders, including employees. Are they getting the good careers? Are they being absorbed? Are they going to be happy in this culture? So all of that matters.
So Yum Brands is, like I said, is pretty well known. Taco Bell, Kentucky, and others. It's a bigger company, and like you said, culture was important for you. But still, I think moving from a startup to now being the CS, so now you're responsible for the whole brand. How do you see it differently?
It is certainly. It comes with a lot more responsibility, because it's like the Yum overall, all three brands. $50 billion company. It's a public company. Every quarter there is a pressure to report something on how we are managing the data, how we are using our advanced analytics, what products we built, how we're competing with McDonald's. There's always that comparison. As a startup, we didn't have that. But as a part of the bigger company, there's a lot more pressure in terms of how our products are doing. So that is one. And then second, in general, I think in startup, you have this grinding culture, right? You come from, we were Silicon Valley company to start with, right? And then we moved to Dallas. So this culture of working long hours and just working whatever it takes to do it. But once you're in a large company, you have to just adjust the culture, and the new people are coming. They're not working for startup. They're joining Yum Brands, right? So that adjustment to the culture was something. It took me almost 1.5 years to figure that out. And then suddenly I now have it's a large company, and we have almost 200 kind of CXOs and the top leadership across all the countries. So 200 peers to work with, and then managing them. And my day job is to influence those general managers, those CXOs in different markets and different brands, to take the products that we are building in the center of Yum. Don't take the vendor. So it's a very different job that I have. Then earlier I was selling it to the clients outside. Now I'm selling internally. So, but it's a bit different, because the expectation is that, oh, you're Yum, so you should be cheap, you should be free, something like that. But I still have my revenue goals.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. Thank you for sharing that. And finally, I want to ask you about gender equity. A lot of conversation around this the last few years. You worked with your husband. Sometimes it works, most times it doesn't. So in your case it worked, and I need to know why.
That's a good question.
And then your take on how organization, now that you're working for a bigger brand, how they can bring the culture of inclusivity and gender parity, for that matter.
So for the first one, I think this question comes all the time, that how did you work with your husband for 8 years? And my answer is generally, we're still married, so it worked out. I think it starts with how your relationship not at work, personal relationship. If you have that equality in your relationship, in your personal relationship, you will do really well professionally as well. And you have to just make sure that you have complementary skills and you have complementary spotlights. You're not fighting for the same spotlight, and then it can be a problem if you're doing that. But after working 8 years, we realized what things work for us, what don't. And the next company he's going to start by himself, I might advise, and then vice versa. But I think this time we want to run companies the way we want to do it. And I think we also evolved as entrepreneurs in last 8 years. So we started our journey together. We became a different entrepreneurs. What he wants is different. What I want different from an entrepreneurship journey. So it'll be a different company this time. We're not going to work together. But from an equity point of view, Yum, actually, the culture is amazing. One thing what I learned, and it's not related to equity, but the one thing what I like about Yum, there was a focus on 3 things: hard, smart, and the courage. So you should be smart, but you should have the heart, and you should have the courage. A lot of time when you meet people, you have 2 of those 3. Finding the balance of the 3 is what I'm trying to strive right now at the job, and that's where fits into the inclusivity aspect of it. That hey, you should be able to, and within inclusivity, you should be able to do all 3, right? You should be courageous enough to speak about if you see something is not right, right? And you should be smart enough to actually attracting the right talent without saying it's a diversity hire, but still able to, bring the right talent and make it inclusive. And for that, you have to have a leadership which, someone can relate to. And at Yum, actually, I'm very proud that there's a ton of women leaders in marketing and operations and general management. And even within my team, 50% of my team is women in India and US. And then obviously, it's hard. So you have to build the right policies at workplace so that everybody at a different life stage, whether they're young or they have a baby or they are caretaker because now they're taking care of their parents in their 40s and 50s, you have to just make sure that that there are smart policies there.
Great.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's very gratifying to look at you come out as a very successful entrepreneur and now a CSO of a very fabulous brand. Such a pleasure to sit with you and have this conversation. Thank you, and wishing you continued success.
Thank you, Mateen. I really appreciate it. Thank you.